Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Danny Dene Show. I am Danielle Dene, aka Danny Dene, and I've got a lot to say. So let's get into it. Are we too dependent on our devices? Let's discuss it. So, somebody on Instagram, I did a poll on Instagram asking what my followers would like me to speak on. And one of them gave me the topic. Well, actually, they gave me the topic of it was specifically our cellular devices. Are we too dependent on our phones? But I wanted to broaden the conversation a little bit because I feel like it's not just our phones. We're too dependent on our TVs, on our laptops, and etc. So I really wanted to get into that because I even have a personal story where, you know, I realized how dependent I was and how, without it, I I was lost, so I want to get into that story. But yeah, let's first talk about this topic. Yeah, I think everyone can agree that the answer is yes. But the question is, is it a good thing that we're doing this? Because I mean, doing that because I mean, now we have an advice, that tells us, you know, uh, information that would take um, a maximum amount of effort to get otherwise without our cellular devices. And yeah, like even the news, hearing what's happening all over the world, it gives us education on, what's happening further outside of, our little communities. So we're more aware, we're not as ignorant. And yeah, you can take a step back and look at that and be like, oh, well, that's actually not such a bad thing. But when we're too dependent to the point where we know nothing about ourselves we know nothing about things we should know on our own. And without these devices, we're lost. We're not able to connect with one another. We're only able to, you know, uh, connect with, or we only want to connect with these devices. We lose the human connection. When you look at it at that point of view, it's like, I don't know. And I think we're at the point where we are. It's a bad thing. It's becoming more and more of a bad thing. And, it's so funny. I don't know if you guys saw Elon Musk just had an event in Los Angeles where he was showcasing these new robots that I forget how much they are, but they're pretty penny. I think it's like $30,000 for one. And you put them in your home and, they do everything for you. They cook, they clean, and they could dang near raise your kids if you wanted them to. But he showcased them and also a newer version of the Tesla as well. And it's just like, oh my goodness. And this is a new form of a device. And it's so shocking to see. At first glance, it's kind of cool, and also it's like, oh, so nice to have a hand to help out, right? At the same time, when you take a step back and look at it, it's like these people are kind of playing God. They're putting this device in front of you to worship and adore and love so that you don't want to worship and love and be around actual human beings that God created. They want you to now love what they've created. Right? And also, y'all watch the movie I, Robot with Will Smith and these robots taking over, the new ones beating up the old ones and causing the world to be even more chaotic than it already is. You got to think of stuff like that. They don't people don't just write these movies and come up with these ideas out of the blue. Like this was in the works back then. I forget when that movie came out, but I think it was like early 2000s. So this is something these people, these higher up elitists saw and were planning for to happen now, and it's coming, and people got to wake up to it and realize like it could be the detriment of a humanity to as a whole. Like it's very scary to think about. So we shouldn't be too reliant on these devices. We shouldn't be too dependable on them because again, we're going to start replacing them with actual human beings, actual people who care about us, and we're gonna no longer crave families. no longer crave reproducing. The human race could be wiped out completely because why reproduce when we have a robot to cuddle with that acts like humans? So crazy. One of these robots, a lot of celebrities were taking videos and people in general were taking videos of them talking to these robots at this event that Elon Musk threw on in Los Angeles. And they talk like regular human beings. It's not like, oh, and yes, I will get like these. No, these robots will have a full conversation with you, like I'm having a conversation kind of with you guys right now, right? Or I have a conversation with my boyfriend. Like, this is crazy. And it's so crazy. I model full time. You guys know that. I will get castings. I will see, submissions on casting networks. They'll want me to submit to these jobs where they want people like me to record my voice so they get a likeness. They can study how humans naturally react, how their emotions are, how their emotions through their voice, so that they can replicate that into a robot. And it's insane to me. I was just like, the money was great, but it's just like, I do not want to contribute into this new day and age of everything being automatic, everything being robotic. I like human interaction. I don't like being around a lot of people, but the right ones are always worth being around. And it's like, I don't want a robot to replace that, right? But getting off of robots, right? Let's talk about phones. And let me tell you my story, because my story involves my cellular device. So when I first moved to Los Angeles, I obviously didn't know the area. And I had a car here. I used to have a car. I don't anymore. I just borrow my man's if that's what I need to do. But anyway, I had my car and I was driving. I don't know where I was coming from. I think some audition or some event. I don't know. It was during the day. Pardon me. And my phone died while I was driving around, and I didn't know where I was. I didn't have a charger in my car. I was like, freak. So I pulled into this gas station, and I was looking to see if I could ask somebody for directions, right? So this woman I saw driving by, I stopped her. I was like, excuse me, can you tell me how to get to La Brea, the area? That's where I was staying around the time. And she was like, yeah, of course. And she gave me directions verbally, and it was a bunch of directions. And I was like, ugh, I'm not going to remember this, but I appreciated her so much for just taking the time to give me directions. I gave her 20 bucks, I think it was. Might have been 10, but I'm pretty sure it was 20. And when I gave her the 20 bucks, she was like, I'll show you personally for 20 bucks. She was like, follow me. So God really looks out for me, I swear. And especially since I've been here, it's been such a journey. And I swear, like so many people have looked out for me since I've been here. But anyway, she gets in her car, I get in my car, I follow her, and she takes me not all the way, but to La Brea, where I just have to drive down the hill. If you know LA, it's like a straight shooter, straight down, and then I just turn left into where my the house was that I was staying in, and I recognized it right away. I was like, "Thank you so much," and she was like, "No problem." Black woman, sweetest woman. I wish could remember her name, and but yeah, she really looked out. I would have been helpless. I wouldn't have known what to do if I didn't if I, she didn't hadn't done that. And in that moment, I was like, dang, I am too reliable on my phone. But at the time too, I didn't really care. I was only 20 years old. I'm like, I'll just make sure to put my charger in my car next time. Instead of actually going out and learning the streets and um, trying to understand, how to get home if I'm ever in that instance again. But yeah, we can't be that dependent on our phones, because again, those situations are uncomfortable. They're unnecessary if we just paid attention to where we're at. Because even though I had just moved to Los Angeles, I was there long enough to um um under like kind of understand how to get home if I really paid attention, if I really wanted to. But the thing is, I didn't want to. I was like, what for? Because I had my phone, right? But again, like I said, you need to have some type of understanding of certain things. It's so crazy. So many young women, especially, they don't know about continents. They think Africa's a country, and it's like, oh, that's a continent. Like little stuff that they teach you in elementary school, middle school, high school that we don't know, and we're like, oh, we can just ask Alexa, or ask Google on our phones. And it's just like, it's okay for some things, but again, not things we should just naturally know, naturally be aware of. Obviously, we're not meant to know everything, and it's good to have your phone like for things like you're just acquiring about, you're just curious about. But you should know basic math. You should know basic history. You should know how to get yourself home in a situation where if your phone dies. So the answer is yes, absolutely. Nobody is disagreeing with that. I think we very too much depend on our cellular devices, right? And I I I think, it's cool now. It's not that big of a deal now because again, we have so many resources and there's people. Even though, I didn't want to ask, there was probably somebody that was willing to lend me their charger for a little bit to charge my phone until it had enough juice for me to call someone. But again, why even put yourself in that situation? Why even have that situation come up when you can just, I don't know, pay attention to your surroundings? Just pay attention to your surroundings and you'll figure it out. You'll be like, hey, that looks familiar. I remember this. Da, da, da. So, yeah, so that's one point. We definitely do rely on our phones way too much. But we also rely on our TV, on our media spaces. Um, it's mind-boggling that we turn on the news and believe everything the news says instead of doing our own research, instead of, you know, asking questions. We just depend on the news to tell us what is going on around the world, which again, to an extent, makes sense, and that's what it's there for. But at the same time, with everything happening with our country right now and the world leaders of our country spewing out so much lies, you've got to now be aware of the corruptness that's happening in our media spaces, in our government, and start doing your own research because they're lying. They're lying all the time. And we got to be more aware of it. Now, I'm not saying go out and travel the world. I mean, do it if you want to. Go out and travel the world and figure out, what's actually happening, experience it for yourself. I'm not saying do all that. I'm just saying, watch multiple sources if we're gonna do it. If we're gonna be on these devices, we need to use them in a way that is beneficial to us, to our education, to our logic. We have to watch multiple. No, we need to not rely on one source of information. There's so many sources out there. And again, this could be an instance where we're using our devices too much doing this research, but I think this is a good way to do so, other than using it all for one source, using it so much just to get one opinion. Like if we're gonna do it, we got to do it right, and the right way is to get a whole bunch of information, sit back, think about all the information you've got, and develop your own opinion and assessment of what is going on, what is happening. Because pretty much that, a logical person will sit, you'll hear both sides, and then you'll understand that the truth is somewhere in the middle. And you got to come to that realization when you do this, because again, like I said, all these media spaces, they're biased, whether it's someone higher up telling them what to say, or whether it's their own biased personal experience that it could very well be true for just them. But again, we live in a big old world, and something might be true in one area of the world and something might be completely different in another part of the world, which makes them seem like what they're saying is a lie, but it's not that. It's just there's more truth to the story, right? So again, too reliant on our media spaces, too reliant on our devices that show us this media content. And yeah, we gotta be smarter about how to use it. If we're gonna do it right. Again, we gotta use it in the right way in order to, develop our own opinions and to grow and to learn and not become these robots that they're putting out in the world right now, that they're trying to get us to buy, and become reliant on them. So they're going to need us all the time. Think about it. These robots, when they malfunction, who are you going to call? You're not going to call your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend. You're going to call the creator of this object, and it's going to be somebody working under Elon Musk. And you pay so much money, that's going to be your focus. That's going to be, again, that's going to be your savior, your God, in a sense to speak. And you don't want to be in that type of situation. You don't want to lose yourself trying to find it in others. Find yourself in others. Because you'll always be looking. You'll always have a void inside that is never going to be fulfilled. I don't want to get religious on here, but you guys know I'm a Christian, and anything, but I really believe when you worship any other thing other than God, you will never be truly happy. You'll never live out your full divine purpose in life. But, that's just my opinion. And these devices are another form of, like a idol. There you go. I do know. Don't say you don't know, Danielle. You do know. It's an idol being worshipped by us. And again, people don't want to see it that way, but that's what it is. And that's what it's becoming more and more of as they advance these technologies, advance our devices. Again, it's not worth it. Again, they'll disappoint you every time. These devices, they'll break, they'll malfunction. And what are you going to do then? You're going to be just like me, lost. In an uncomfortable situation, trying to figure out where to go next. And you don't want to be in that situation. You don't. It's the worst kind of situation to be in. So, again, either we go for it all the way and we do it the right way, or we remove it all together. I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember I saw this post on Instagram, or maybe it was Facebook, with kids that were born in the 90s and early 80s maybe. And they were just like, what a time to be alive when there was no devices. People played outside. People played board games. I don't think people even play board games anymore. People still play like card games for sure. But games like, I remember I watched this commercial, The Game of Life. I'm like, oh, I used to love that game. You spun the wheel and you just rode in little cars, and it tell you if you got a house, if you lost money. Like, it was really like a gamble every time. It's just whatever happened, whatever you rolled and landed on, that was what you got. And it really embodied how life is. You just roll the dice, and what happens. Part of it is of your control, absolutely, but for the most part, God is. So great game. Great game. My point is, we got to see. I'm a 90s baby. I was born in 98, late 90s, but I'm still a 90s baby. People try to move me up to 2000s. I'm like, no. I am not with the 2000s gang. We do not get along. I don't think I know anybody. I'm not friends with anybody personally that was born after the year 2000, because they're just different. And even though I am Gen Z, we're just different. We just are. Anybody that knows anybody who is in my same age range knows. But yeah, we grew up in an interesting time where we got to experience no technology, no nothing, and then gradually get into it. Like, we got to experience both worlds, where like now kids that were born in 2000s, 2010, whatever, now their whole life is revolved around devices. My man's sons, they live for the iPad, they live for the VR, Xbox, all that stuff that I didn't grow up really playing until I got like to the age of maybe, I don't know, 13, 14. And again, it was just a great time to be alive. You go out with your friends, you play double dutch, you play hopscotch. I don't even think my man's kids know what hopscotch is. It was a simpler time, it was a better time, and we actually interacted with people, and we loved on people. Even if we can do that with a robot, it's like, will we want to? It's not the same to just for boys just to tackle one another and, rough play and, experience true life human reactions, emotions, not through a robot. It's not the same. It's not the same. And what a time, man. We as humans were meant to interact with one another and love on one another. The interaction is what keeps us sane. What keeps us, encouraged to want to live another day. That's why things like marriage are so they should be as valued as it actually is, because you're spending your life with the person you love to enjoy. And that's all what life is about, enjoying another person, not a robot, not a phone, not a TV, not a video game. So I say all this to say, guys, yes, we absolutely have become too dependent on our devices. And it's just crazy. And it's mind boggling that we have movies like iRobot. We have movies like even Passengers I just watched with um, Jennifer Lawrence. Gosh, I love her. She's such a great actress and she's funny. Um, and if you haven't seen the movie Passengers, y'all should go watch it. It's actually a good movie. And it's not just about robots, it's about much more than that. But I'm not going to spoil it. I want you guys to watch it. But I'm trying to think of another robot movie. There's others out there, but it's not going to be to my head. Oh, WALL-E. WALL-E. Prime example. All the humans on a ship getting fat. Didn't even realize they had a pool to the end until their screen went out. But it's crazy, in that movie, I remember them having interactions with one another, but again, it was just on the screen. It wasn't in person. And it was through the robot that they were having these FaceTime kind of interactions, so to speak, with other humans on the ship. But never actually saw them in person, never had an actual conversation face to face, never, to any of that. And oof, I would hate that. Gosh. And me being somebody who loves to swim as much as I do and loves to be slim as much as I do, swim and slim. Couldn't be me. But again, people are so lazy nowadays and people don't care. If you give them good food, give them a comfortable seat, they'll eat and sit all day. And it's just like, I get it. Trust me, I've had those days where I have those lazy days where I just want to eat and watch TV and sleep. At the end of the day, I'm like, no, I want to get up. I want to speak to you guys. I want to go on sets and interact with other creatives, makeup artists, hairstylists, photographers, because it's just a joy to interact with other people who, especially our other creatives that like to, think outside the box, that like to be spontaneous. It's the best way to be in life. It's the best way to be in life. So again, if you're one of those people who lives on their phone, always taking a call, always on FaceTime, always on TikTok, always on Instagram, always on Facebook, whatever it may be, cut it out for a little bit. I just did a Danny's Day the other day, and I was like, if you really want to know if you're addicted to something, remove it for a couple of days. People don't realize how addicted they are to their phones and media and video games until that happens. And sometimes it never happens for people because, again, they're so addicted. I really want you today, if you know you're always on Facebook, you're always on YouTube, to put it down for a couple of days. See if you can go a couple of days without, feeling like you need to be on it. And if you can't, you might need to chill. Might need to chill a little bit. Okay? Because it's never that serious. I know, like I have to shoot my show 5 days a week. I have to do my Danny's Dailies 3 times a week. Well, my posts that are Danny's Dailies, and then my videos that are Danny's Dailies, I have to shoot them 5 days a week also. It's a lot. But at the same time, the moment I shoot them, the moment I do what I got to do, I turn off my phone and I go out and hang with my man or hang with his kids or, interact with other friends in the industry and interact with the people I'm working with on my sets. That's what keeps me sane. That's what keeps me happy. Those interactions more so. God knows I love talking to you guys. God knows I love, actually, I don't love speaking to this camera, but I know it's helping someone out there. And it's like I'm having a conversation with you guys watching. So me knowing that subconsciously, that's all right with me. All right. But too many of y'all are invested in a camera, in a device that doesn't reciprocate anything back to you. It's just for your own pure entertainment. And you need to be entertained by better things. There's so many better things to be entertained with out there. Such a beautiful world out there. I love living in Los Angeles because they have beautiful sunsets. I was just in Malibu the other day and watched the sunset on the water. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. And you just sit back and watch stuff like that. And it's like, you forget a phone. You just want to take that all in. That should be your mentality. That's what you should aspire to be entertaining for you. Okay? All right, guys. That's all I got to say about this topic. Please like this video. If you liked it, please comment always. I love to hear you guys' thoughts, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys tomorrow, okay? I love you. Bye.